Health information technologies are rapidly growing around the world. There are many hospital information systems and personal health information systems developed in both government and private sectors, which cannot be interoperable effectively due to the complexity of healthcare system and lack of information standards. However, the health information standards are not a solution of integrated health information systems. The solution is building the community of stakeholders to agree on the standard. SILT Island was established in order to facilitate the health information exchange in the country as well as across the region with regard to the international standards. Our team consists of highly passionate people from government, academic and private sectors on building the interoperable healthcare system. We provide a collaborative environment to design, develop, and test the interoperable systems as 4 T's core functions, including teaming, training, tooling, and testing. Teaming. We build the network of healthcare providers and health tech startups across the country to create an environment of collaboration between developers and users. And also we collaborate with international institutes to share experience and knowledge on digital health. Training. We strengthen the capacity of stakeholders through the interoperability training and workshops by partner with SIL Asia. Tooling. We set up the interoperability tools, especially the HL7 FHIR, to enable all stakeholders to learn, evaluate and implement the applications that conform to the international standards. Testing. We provide a conformance testing platform that allows software vendors and healthcare facilities to test their applications against the international standards, and also certify their applications to ensure that for their applications can be interoperable with respect to the standards. For more information, please visit our website and feel free to contact us. We are looking forward to collaborating with you.
Welcome back to the second session. So, from the minor gaps framework, AeHIN members in governance and economy began doing practical work on interoperability, and they will be presenting the updates in this session. So this time, I would like to call on Dr. Alvin Marcello and Dr. Bunchai to talk to us about the AeHIN Regional Enterprise Architecture Council for Health, a REACH, and Community of Interoperability Lab Accord. So please, Dr. Alvin and Dr. Bunchai.
Thank you, Piraya. So as Dr. Bunchai mentioned earlier, we have 2 groups in AeHIN. One of them is the Regional Enterprise Architecture Council for Health, and the second is the Community of Interoperability Labs. So we'd like to talk to you more about the Community of Interoperability Labs, which is the community of the countries that have created their own interoperability labs. So the story of the Community of Interoperability Labs started in August 2015 when, and this is where we identified the need to have identifiable people who will solve the problems of interoperability in each country. These people would be able to support the Ministry of Health for their interoperability needs. The interoperability need was already expressed way back in 2012. So AeHIN agreed, why don't we establish in-country interoperability labs where there is interest. And the Asia Development Bank, who was there, represented by Dr. Susan Roth, agreed to support the formation of an exemplar template interoperability lab because we didn't know where to start. So ADB was gracious enough to say, okay, we can support the first lab. And the first lab will be regional, and that first lab will then be the template for all the other labs to follow. So the Asia Development Bank signs a memorandum of understanding with the University of the Philippines, Manila. The agreement of AeHIN then was that the first standards in Interoperability Lab Asia was going to be set up the University of the Philippines, Manila. And it was set up at the Philippine General Hospital. So that's Dr. Bunchai. He flew over together with ADB at the back and our Vice Chancellor for the memorandum of understanding signed up. And then The Philippine General Hospital, which is under the University of the Philippines, Manila, put up an interoperability lab. And that is where we first set up together with Professor Philip Zuniga and other members of the lab, coming from their experiences when I visited Mohawk, and Professor Philip also interacted with the Mohawk people. And so during that launch, we had Dr. Eduardo Banson as well, and Dr. Jun Gao from WHO. Dr. Dodo Banzon is with the Asian Development Bank. We also had representatives from PhilHealth at the back, and we also had members from Pag-ibig, including the um, Philippine Health Insurance Corporation and the Standards and Interoperability Lab Asia, of course, the Philippine General Hospital. So in the March 2017 general meeting that we had in Naypyidaw, it was the first interoperability demo of the Standards and Interoperability Lab Asia in Myanmar. This was a response to the need of AeHIN to be educated and be made aware. How do we create these standards and interoperability? Who are the people that we need to put up? What equipment do they need? What software do they need to put up so that they can do this interoperability work? And so by the October 2018, in our 6th general meeting in Colombo, we then asked for volunteers from countries who would want to set up their interoperability labs within their countries. And we got sign-ups from Laos, Thailand, Philippines, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, and Bhutan. And together, these IOLs, or interoperability labs, form what we call now the AeHIN Community of Interoperability Labs, or COIL. They share knowledge, they share experts, they share experience, and together they will learn faster because they are now able to share their pain points and their solutions with each other. As we heard from Professor Philip's presentation, it's all about teaming, training, testing, and tooling. And those 4 T's are very technical work, but also collaborative work, coordination work. So the labs in each country, we hope, will mature up to the point where they can actually serve the needs of interoperability of their Ministry of Health and other stakeholders in their country. And so in summary, this is a slide that we already showed you. At the top, we have the AeHIN Working Council members. On the left are the enterprise architects of AeHIN. Some of them are actually inside the Ministries of Health. Some of them are our professors in enterprise architecture, our teachers. But we share knowledge. We share experiences with each other. Dr. Paul Biondich is actually a member of the Regional Enterprise Architecture Council for Health. So you can think of REACH as the group of architects who worked on the blueprints. And you can think of the community of interoperability labs as the builders of what is in the blueprint. So the blueprint that comes from the Regional Enterprise Architecture Council is of their specific country. So it will be different for Thailand, for Philippines, for Indonesia. And so we have started to get new members. Our newest member to COIL is New Zealand. On January 25, 6 p.m. Manila, they will talk about their interoperability lab. So we'd like to invite you there. I'll ask Charis to post the link in the chat box. They're the newest member, but I think also one of the more serious ones because they actually have a platform already set up. So I hope we can learn more about them this Tuesday. In Bhutan, it's just beginning. Mr. Garab Dorji, who underwent an enterprise architecture training, is also the team leader for the Bhutan Interoperability Lab. In Laos, we have Dr. Teputon Sorsavan. He's a member of the Ministry of Health, and he also completed the TOGAF training last year. So again, we are supporting the Ministry of Laos in their standards and interoperability lab. From Vietnam, we have Pham Tan Dat. They're more advanced. They actually underwent training with ADB a few years ago, and they will put up the Vietnam Testing Center. So I think they will focus on the testing part of the interoperability lab. That, by the way, is also from the Ministry of Health. Then there's the Laboratorium Interoperabilitas Kesehatan Indonesia, or LIKI. I see Professor Anis in the picture, and Yudi. So I think the Indonesian lab is also at the beginning stages, and we will ask each of these laboratories to make an annual status update to the community so that we can learn from their experiences as well. Beside ADB, there is a Standards Interoperability Lab Center of Excellence in Smart Healthcare and High Precision Medicine. I think this is a group inside the ADB that's working on this. And in UP Manila, we have converting them to the level 2 operational material following the WHO SMART guidelines. So our team, I'm heading the technical part of the laboratory, but Dr. Janus Ong is a nationally renowned hepatologist working with the hepatitis surveillance program of the Ministry of Health. The idea here is to create the interfaces so that the electronic medical records around the country can submit hepatitis data securely to the Department of Health. In Sri Lanka, this is led by Dr. Roshan Hewa. And then finally, a recent addition to the interoperability community is the Open EMIS Community of Practice in Asia. AeHIN is the regional hub in Asia for the Open Insurance Management Information System. And together with academics and Ministry of Health members in the Community of Practice, we talk about how to do interoperability at the business layer, how the health financing and the health informatics and health insurance business processes come together, and that is manifested in the Open EMIS platform. So this is very new, and I know we have Dr. Julius Migrino, who is one of the members of the Open EMIS community, available in the call later on in the open forum if you have questions about Open EMIS community of practice in Asia. So these are the current focal points of Open EMIS in the Philippines. We have San Beda College of Medicine represented by Dr. Julius Migrino. In St. Luke's Medical Center, Dr. Sharma Ojeda. In Sri Lanka, Cambodia, and Nepal, we have members also in Open EMIS. So it becomes a platform as well for interoperability that we can, it's like an interoperability lab, but specific for a certain software called Open EMIS. And now I think this is the part where we talk about the specific work of the Standards and Interoperability Lab Thailand. We have a few more minutes, Dr. Bunchay, but I think this is a good time to give more time.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Alvin, to give the big picture of the COIN, the Community of Interoperability Lab, and also the relationship between the REACH, the architecture, and the standard. So from here, we will tell you about the activities that we work at the Interoperability Lab in Thailand. And from now, I would like to invite our technical lead, Dr. Papat Suryaphon, for the presentation of how the seal and right now the current that we do. Over to you, Dr. Papat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bunchay. In the following session, we would like to share our experience and what we have done as Standard and Interoperability Lab Thailand. Our team, we are a team of people from government, academic, and private sector. Currently, there are 9 members in our core team. So the first session of the talk, I would like to introduce each member, so you know about them and their roles in SEAL. So the first member, I would like to talk about Dr. Bunchay. Apart from his role in AeHIN, he is also the clinical lead in SEAL. He's the father of TMT, Thai Medicine Terminology, that was structured like SNOMED CT, and it has been used nationwide, and it really helped us a lot in interoperability of medication that we use in our project that Dr. Mr. Natanai will talk in the following session. He's now working at the Faculty of Medicine, Ramathipati Hospital, and also at the Thai Health Information Standard Development Center, or DIS. And the second member is Dr. Piya. He's from Faculty of Medicine, Chulalongkorn University. Actually, he wear many hats working at different organizations, such as China Medical Board, Thai National Health Foundation. He's also a member of National Reform Committee on Public Health. So he helped the team in policy strategic planning and grant seeking. So Dr. Piya is now our policy lead in our team. The third member is Dr. Dowler. He's our senior consultant. He's an excellent lecturer, and he's our team knowledge for SNOMED CT and LOIC, the laboratory code. He's now working at the Thai Health Information Standard Development Center, or DIS. And our next member is Dr. Govin. He's ophthalmologist at Bamrad Naradun Infectious Diseases Institute, Ministry of Public Health, but he's also very good at IT. He's the one who designed the dashboard in our pilot project, set up file server for our project and reach out for the Thai community. So you hear more about him in the following session. And our next member is Dr. Supaler. He's at the Department of Disease Control, Ministry of Public Health. He's actively working with the Ministry of Public Health in many areas, including COVID-19 right now. So having him in our team allow us to know the pain point and real need in our Thai health system. That's really good. Our sixth member is Dr. Rad. Dr. Rad, actually he used to work as a CTO at a private hospital and has a strong connection with health tech startup. And he helped us link with the private sector and health tech startup. Right now, he's working full-time at Thai Health Information Standard Development Center, or DIS. And he's really active and become a key person in SIL team. Dr. Rad will share about our current 2022 projects in the following session as well. And the seventh member is Dr. Thanapop. Dr. Thanapop from Khon Kaen University, Faculty of Medicine, Khon Kaen University. He has great experiences in mapping FHIR to the current data scheme, or vice versa. So he helps SIL pushing knowledge from the academic sector. And today he will share also his work in mapping FHIR with the current scheme. And the next member is pharmacist Natanai. He's pharmacist at Faculty of Medicine, Sirat Hospital. He has been working with Dr. Bunchai on the Thai medicine terminology at the beginning, and he's a real implementer. I mean, he get his hand dirty in all SIL projects. So today, pharmacist Natanai will share some of his first-hand experience on SIL in the following session as well. And I, as the ninth member, I work at the Faculty of Medicine, Sirat Hospital, Maidon University. Thanks to AeHIN, I mean, I was supported for TOGAF training and got certificate for TOGAF Enterprise Architect. So I'm member of REACH and also member of SILK here. My role in the team, I mean, Dr. Bunchai called it as a technical lead, but actually we are all equal in the meeting. This is like a brief history timeline for our SILK. We are about 3 to 4 years old. In 2019, Dr. Bunchai assembling the SILK team. He's the one who called all of us and built the team. So it starts with the teaming, right? The 4T. So we start to learn about FHIR and all standard and try to build awareness. And then in 2020, we start to reach out to the community. Dr. Govin set up like group, set up Facebook, website, and our team start to create material and write in blog. We start to give a talk, give training, and we have opportunity to have the first pilot project that Dr. Nadanai will share it here. And then in last year, 2021, we have the second project that we hope that this will be the real implementation in a chain of hospital. And then we also have work from Dr. Thanapop that both Dr. Natanai and Dr. Thanapop will share in the later session. And then this year we have another two big projects that Dr. Lat will share about it. And then we also got the national license for Sinomed City. That's great news. So from here, I go quickly with some activity that we have done in each year. So in 2019, I try to go to the next slide. Okay, yep. The real, I mean, actually we give a talk in many places, but the real big talk at that time is in February 2019. We gave a talk at Health Tech Startup Thailand about the fire and try to build up community. And then in June 2019, we gave a talk at about interoperability and fire. And this event was organized by the Department of Medical Services, Ministry of Public Health. And in October 2019, at HIMSS AsiaPac 19, that's held in Bangkok, we have a session talking about interoperability and fire together with Graham Grief. And in this meeting, we kind of officially announced SILT Thailand to the public. And then in 2020, that's what I said, Dr. Kawin will start to build community, and then he will share in the following session. And then we had a chance to go to Philippines, Manila, to attend the AeHIN Regional Fire Community Workshop. And then later we gave a talk at the ICT Ministry of Public Health in April and in June about fire in big picture and fire in architect. And then we had one pilot project that Dr. Natanai, Mr. Natanai will talk about. Sorry, I think something, here, sorry. And then after the first project in 2021, we realized from the first project that when we implement the pilot project, one thing that raised our concern is that our work was specific to only one commercial hospital information system, or HIS. And I mean, if we finish this, it means that we just specifically create fire support for only one HIS. So we think, how can we, what about other HIS, and how can we create a system that is not specific to only one HIS and can be used throughout the country? So we are looking for something that require minimal work from the hospital and give them benefit as soon as possible. And then luckily, I mean, in Thailand, we have a common outpatient claim data scheme that used for reimbursement. So that nearly all HIS must be able to generate. So we pick up the one scheme, outpatient data scheme, that we call it CSOP format that Mr. Dutt and I will talk about later. So this is the one that triggered the idea for the second project that we are working on. And this is the one that Mr. Dutt and I will talk about in the following session. And then Dr. Thanapop will talk about his work as well, about modeling. That is his expert, right? And then this year, Dr. Rat will share with you about the two big projects that we got in for our team about the Thailand National Reform Plan, Big Rock 1 and Big Rock 6. I'm waiting for the slide. I will stop my talk on this slide. How come it's not? Moment, sorry. Yep, okay, sorry. So this, I stop my talk here, that this is the current capability of our SEAL team. we have members who are certified for COVID-5 Foundation, COVID-5 implementation, TOGAF 9, Nomad City Terminology Services, certified HR7 Fire R4, certified HR7V version 3, HR7 version 2.7, and HR7 CDA. So thanks for AeHIN and support from many supporters who build up the capability for our SEAL. Now I would like to invite Dr. Gawin to share with us about SEAL and Thai fire community. Dr. Gawin, please.
Thank you, Dr. Prapat. Hi, everyone. I'm Gawin. I'm an ophthalmologist and a member of SEAL Thailand. I'll talk about our activities with the Thai fire community, what we've been doing after we met with Graham Grave at the HIMSS Asia Pacific Conference in 2019. First, in early 2020, we joined the Regional Fire Workshop by Standards and Interoperability Lab Asia at the ADB headquarters in Manila. We met several fire experts there and learned a lot from them. Then we came back to set up our parts. After that, we conducted several seminars with the Thai audience. For example, the group from the Department of Medical Services, Ministry of Public Health, and the group from the ICT Center of Ministry of Public Health. We recently had a session about HR7 fire at the annual conference of the Thai Medical Informatics Association last year. In addition, our members, Dr. Bunchai, Dr. Daurek, and Dr. Rat, have their lectures about interoperability in Mahidol University classes. Dr. Rat has his online course about fire as well. Furthermore, we've published the introductory articles in Thai language on our blog to help Thai audience quickly understand the fire basics. You can find the links to our blog, including our email address, on the SEAL Thailand website, seal-th.org. We've been also using social media to communicate our activities, interesting articles, and ideas to our followers. We've posted on our Facebook page and Line Messenger group. Both platforms are very popular social media in Thailand. Last but not least, we've built our own fire server, the public fire test server, based on the Happy Fire server. For those who would like to try the fire APIs and test their fire resources. In case you don't have or don't want to use your data, we've populated our server with more than 400,000 synthetic fire resources from Cynthia, which are ready to use. Currently, we have our complete and ongoing projects, and we are being involved in many health information exchange projects in Thailand. Let's move on to our projects. Okay, over to you, Sam Natanai.
Thank you, Dr. Gawin. And hi, everyone. In this session, we would like to share our experience on implementing the fire projects in Thailand. And for our first project is a model development for integrated SHG of DM and hypertension services in primary care. And in this project, we developed a prototype of integrated health information system for primary healthcare services that comply with the fire standard. For the conceptual model in this project, we use a trigger to capture the transaction data from the hospital information system and transform it into the fire resources and port these fire resources to the fire server that provide the standard fire API to connect with the third-party application. And in this project, we also identify the information needs based on the focus group with the primary healthcare providers from Kamphaeng Phet Hospital. And then we map the information to the fire resources such as the patient resource and other resource. So, and we post this file resource to our file server. And this is a web application that use a file API to integrate the data from our server, our file server. And what we learned from this project, we learned how to set up the file server. And this project, we found that the directly integrated SAS data with the file is very useful, but it's required to understand on the architecture of the hospital information system. And this is challenging for the scaling up with the other hospital information system. So for our next project is a permission-based blockchain for personal health record. In this project, we would like to encourage and empower hospital to manage their own secure file server. And we pilot at the Siddharth Hospital Group, including the Siddharth Hospital, SIPH Hospital, and Golden Jubilee Medical Center. And to avoid the business workflow interruptions and increase the scalability, so we decide to use the CSOP file that the public hospital have to export this file for the reimbursement for the outpatient. And we will transform this file to the file resource. And in this project, we firstly focus on the patient's medication information and try to implement the PHR with the smart contract by using the blockchain technology that's giving the patient to control the access permissions of their health data. For the conceptual model of this project, we use the CSOP file that hospital routinely export this file for reimbursement, and we convert it into the file resources by using the CSOP parser and post this file resource to the secure Happy file server. And we use a smart contract on the blockchain to ensure that only the authorized application and the person can access the data. And after finish this project, the artifact in this box, we will publish as open source. And this is this diagram show the data structure and the relationship between the us. So what is a CSOP? CSOP is a standard data model for medical reimbursement in the OPD service for the civil servant medical benefit scheme in Thailand. And there are three sets of the information, including the Bhutan, which is the information of billing claim transactions, and BillDis is information of medication dispense, and OP services is information of the medical services and the procedures. And this is diagram show the data structure of the CSOP and the relationship between the Bhutan, BillDis, and OP services. And as I mentioned earlier, that in our project, we are firstly focused on the patient medication information. So only data from the Bhutan and BillDis are mapped to the file resources. And this is an example of mapping CSOP data element to the file resources. For example, the SN data element we map to the patient identifier. The invoice number we also map to the claim identifiers. And for the mapping with the file resources, for the Bhutan dataset, we use patient claim organization and location resource. And for the BillDis dataset, we use encounter medication dispense and practitioner resource. And this diagram shows the relationship between the file resources that we convert from the CSOP dataset. For example, the claim, location, medication dispense, encounter, patient, practitioner, and organization that we convert from the CSOP. And also in this project, we also create a file profiles to define the constraint and the extensions that conform to the CSOP data model by using Forge. And we publish our profile on the simplifier.net, for example, the patient profile. And we assign the master port to the element that we derive from the CSOP data element, for example, the citizen ID, SN, and patient name. And this is a website that we publish our project on Simplifier. If you're interested, you can go to this link, the simplifier.net/CSOP. And what we learned from this project, firstly, in Thailand, the medication reimbursement are based on the dispensing information, but there are no directly relationship between the claim resource and medication dispense resource. So in this project, we use encounter resource and patient resource to link the information between the Butan dataset and the Buddhist dataset. And most of the identifiers system and code system in Thailand, they have no the official URI. So the same codes may be defined with the different system URI. For example, in our project, we define the hospital code with this system URI, but in another project, they use a different system URI. So it's difficult to integrate the information from different projects. So the national URI registry can improve the interoperability in Thailand by publishing the official URIs. So this could let every project use the same system URI in Thailand. And for the healthcare provider license numbers in Thailand are start with the Thai alphabet, such as the medical doctor, dentist, and pharmacist. However, the Happy Fire server still not support the Thai alphabet for the conditional update in the transaction and batch request, which is this is the method that we use to bundle our file resource and push it to the file server. So in this project, we decide to split and convert it the Thai alphabet into the identifier type, for example, the MD4 for the medical doctor. That is all my sharing. And now let me invite Dr. Thanapop to share his experience from the project of information modeling medical certificate. Over to you, Dr. Thanapop.
Thank you, Mr. Nadanai, and thank you, Dr. Prapat, for introducing me at the beginning. Hello, everyone. My name is Thanapop Nanakon Phanom. I work as a medical doctor and health informatician at Khon Kaen University. For my part, I would like to share our experience in using HR75 for information modeling of the medical certificates in Thailand. Okay. So to begin with, I would like to talk about medical certificates. In Thailand, there are many kinds of medical certificates depending on the purpose of the certificates to be used. For example, the medical certificates for driving license is a certificate of medical examinations for applying for a driving license. A fit and well certificate is a certificate of general health examination. The signet medical certificate is a document that certifies the patient's medical conditions. And the proof of visit or admission certificate, these certificates may be requested by the patients and submit to their employer or insurance company for reimbursement. And the other medical certificates are more specific to the particular jobs and duties. Then this picture are examples of the medical certificates form in Thailand. On the left side, this is medical examination report for a driving license. And on the right side, this is a fit and well medical certificate. The document may contain the patient demographics, medical history, and the examination results. It is not a summary of visit, but rather just a document that essentially certifies that the patient was seen and examined by the doctor. And last year, the Ministry of Public Health and the Electronic Transaction Development Agency has been developing an electronic medical certificate, which is a digital and verifiable document. So currently, they are in the first phase of working on 3 types of medical certificates for driving license, fit and well certificates, and SIGNET medical certificate. And this brings us to the work that our team have done. And in this project, the project aims to use the HL7 FHIR for digital representation of medical certificates and interoperability. Our work was to model and define the FHIR artifacts representing the content in the medical certificate. In the FHIR data models, the most important parts are the resources. Resources are a collection of information that define data elements, constraints, and relationships for the business object most relevant to healthcare. Things of resource as paper forms, reflecting different types of clinical and administrative information that can be captured and shared. FHIR defines a series of different types of resources that can exchange and store data, including clinical data and administrative data. These are an example of FHIR resources. So in our work, we explore which FHIR resources and their data elements can be mapped onto the medical certificate content. And then we developed an information model for a medical certificate by specifying rules about how FHIR resources are used and their relationship with each other. And in the end, we publish an implementation guide that define a set of rules of how particular FHIR resource is used. In this project, 11 FHIR resources were utilized. As you can see here in this picture of implementation guide, Dr. Rad used the publisher tools to generate the implementation guide and publish it on the web. And this picture show an example of how we specify rules about which resource elements are used and are not used, with what additional elements are added, and rules about which terminology are used in the particular elements. In this project we use Lois and Sonomet CT for the terminology system. In summary, we found that the HL7 FHIR can be used for developing an information model of the 3 medical certificates that I've already mentioned: medical certificate for driving license, fit and well certificate, and SIGNET medical certificate. And in the long run, we will extend our work to the other types of certificates as well. And that concludes my presentation. Next, I would like to move on to the next part, which is the mega project of our Sales Thailand this year. Dr. Rad will tell you more about Thailand national reform. Okay, hand over to Dr. Rad.
Thank you, Dr. Thanapop. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Rad Panjowat. I'm from I work for Thai Health Information Standard Development Center, and I'm also the member of SEAL Thailand. Today, I'm going to talk about the 2 national projects that we are at SEAL Thailand are involving. But before we begin, I have to lay the background first. So it started from 2014 coup d'etat by the National Council for Peace and Order, NCPO. After that, Thailand have gone through several reform initiatives, and eventually the National Reform Plan and Procedure Act, BE 2560, it was enacted and became effective from the 1st of August 2017. In this act, at Sector 8, it provided the action plans and procedure for the national reform shall be made on 8 issues. And one of them is public health, Since then, several projects was going on and many things happened. Eventually in 2021, the cabinet decided that we need to focus on the projects that can significantly change or improve people's life. These projects are called the Big Rock projects. And in the public health sector, there are 6 Big Rock projects. The one that we are involved is Big Rock 1 and Big Rock 6. I will begin with the Big Rock 1. The Big Rock 1 is dealing with the emerging disease. The primary goal is to prepare and respond to an emerging disease, such as the COVID-19. And in order to achieve that, we have to have a robust health information system, and health information exchange is the core component of that system, because we have to collaborate with many stakeholders and integrate all the data. And to achieve this HAE program, there are several sub-projects are going on. I will give an example for 3 projects. The first one is the enrollment to become the SOMACT international member country. This is already have done a few weeks ago. The second one is Thailand will develop a file server, not the new file server. We modify the Heartbeat server for our purpose, and a tool to convert the claim data into file resource. Actually, this one is the same tool that developed at Sirirat Hospital that the pharmacist Natanai already mentioned about it. So after this tool is complete, the hospital in the country can implement this tool and build their innovations around it. The last one is the Government Big Data Institute, the GBDI. They will also develop the data repository for storing all of these data and use it for their purpose, for the analytics purpose. In this Big Rock 1 program, the one who is the manager of this program is Thailand Center of Excellence for Life Science, or TCELS. So waiting for the slide for a moment. Okay, so this is our first year plan at SIL Thailand. On the left side is the hospital in the country, many hospitals in the country. Some hospital might already implemented the file server in their system nowadays. Some might haven't done it yet. But anyway, both type of hospital, they have to have the CSOP data or the outpatient claim data produced nowadays, because they have to submit it to the existing claim processor for the reimbursement purpose. This is one is that Mr. Datanai already talked about. We will not change the existing process. It will continue go on. But what we will do is we will develop a tool that can convert this CSOP data into file resource, and we will encourage the hospital that already have a file server in their system to produce the same file resource, and we will submit this resource to the central repository, and maybe we incorporate other file data as well into the same repository, and we will go through the ETL process and then to the health management information system for the policymaker or other people to use the data. And after the first year, we will encourage all the hospitals in the network to have their own file server in their control, and we will incorporate the SOMACT into all of the information that exchange in all the network, so that all information share the same meaning between systems. And we will expand our support, not just the OPD data, but we will include the IPD data and other data as well into the file server. And because the hospital, they can control this file server so that they can use it for their purpose. Maybe they want to develop an application, or maybe they want to do some innovation about it. So this is the inside the hospital. But outside the hospital, they still have to send the data to the central repository, other hospital as well, and other system as well. But the data here will be much more comprehensive than in the first year. So then we can use it for many other purposes, and we can exchange it with other system as well, other network as well that share the same standard. So this is our plan that we want to do in the next 2nd to 5th year. I mentioned earlier that Thailand has become the member of StomaCT International, but actually this have story for a long time because Thai Health Information Standard Development Center by Dr. Bunchai, Dr. Daurek, and many people, many team around here. They have been studying the potential use of StomaCT since 10 years ago, and the Thai medicine terminology that this has developed is also inspired from the information model of StomaCT and Australian medicine terminology, or AMT, which is the StomaCT extension. Moreover, several provider and vendor in Thailand here, they already use StomaCT for many years with the affiliate license. It's like they purchasing the license with their individual for use in their organization, not the country. They have done this for many years. So because they have the Big Rock One program now, so it's a good opportunity to push forward the initiative to use StomaCT in the national level. So eventually, T-Cells allocate the Big Rock One budget to the Health Systems Research Institute, HSRI, to apply for the StomaCT membership. And we became the 42nd members country of StomaCT International on January 12th. That's basically 2 weeks ago. And we are in the process of establishing the National Relay Center within THIS, this one. Next step for StomaCT in Thailand, after we have the Relay Center, is that we plan to establish a national terminology server for providing the service to stakeholder, provider vendors, because using Snowbit without terminology server is quite challenging. So if we have this, it might be facilitate the implementation. And we will migrate the current TMT to be the StomaCT extension, same as the AMT, that is the StomaCT extension as well. And we will develop a Thai extension. The first one is we think we will develop for the primary care system. And after that, we may expand to other areas as well. We will facilitate the implementation of StomaCT in various projects. For example, the rheumatology registry, and we will provide educational support for provider and vendor. So that is the Big Rock One. The next one is Big Rock 6. In the Big Rock 6, it's mainly about the National Digital Health Platform. I have to wait for the slide for a moment. Okay. It's creating a prototype for the NDHP, National Digital Health Platform, to use in other projects under the same Big Rock. Because in the Big Rock, they have many projects inside it, but they plan to create a prototype of the national platform that other projects can use to communicate and use this as an infrastructure. And if this go well in the future, NDHP will be a platform with many components, many services, many repositories to exchange health information between most public hospitals under the MOPH, and they will use FHIR as the main exchange standard of the platform. This is the presentation from Dr. Anand Kanoksin. He is the Director of Information and Communication Technology, MOPH. As you can see that in the health system, there is many components, but they plan to use the NDHP as the central component for exchanging of the information, and they will use FHIR as the exchange standard. And we are also studying the Open HAE that Dr. Paul already talked about in the morning session, that we think it's a very good framework for doing this. So we are studying it, and maybe we can use it in our project as well. And here is our SEALS Thailand's role in the Big Rock 6. We have 3 roles. The first one is where we are researching the digital health governance structure and mechanisms from various sources. Then we will propose a suitable model for Thailand, because right now the digital health governance here is quite a bit messy and complicated. So we have to find a way that's suitable for our country. And the second is we are developing the Thai National Fire Implementation Guide. Maybe we call it the GH Core, as in the US, they call it US Core. Maybe we have some quite similar things. And the last one is we are researching various appropriate information standards to implement in the platform, because the platform has many components and each component may require different standards. So we will find which standard suitable for which component. So that is our work in the Big Rock 6. So that is conclude my talk about Big Rock 1 and Big Rock 6. One last thing I want to mention is that we are open for international collaboration and domestic collaboration as well. So if any of the participants in this webinar is have interesting idea or want to collaborate in any area, feel free to reach out to us. We are more than welcome to discuss with you. So I think this is the conclusion of the presentation from our SEAL Thailand member. So over to you, Piraya. Thank you very much.
So thank you to all our speakers. It was a nice presentation. So right now we have reached a discussion part.
I have a question.
Yes, please, Dr. Alvin.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort to create the TH core. I think many countries will want to create their own cores, CORES. So I think it's a good activity we can do at AeHIN, like a common AeHIN core, and then each country will then extend that with their TH core, PH core. Just a suggestion. Over.
Sure. Alvin, we because we part of the country and also we part of the regions, and this is our aim to work together. So because of we think about this, and we will be a kind of the pioneer, and then we need all the COI member to jump in and help in the part of that. And to me, I think create a common core fire implementation guide is a very cost effective, like also another standard like the medication standard, Thai terminology standard. We are happy to share with the regions and also the experience. So this is why the network in regional level and in the country level have been prevailed to give the audience about the context of SEALs. SEAL is very informal. Everyone here are from many organizations, and we are come because of we passionate that we would like to do we like to build the integrated health information system for our country. That is, I think, the reason why people are taking time studying, implementing all of this. Sure, we should do the AeHIN course. Jai, I saw your raising hand. Okay.
Yes, Dr. Bunchai, I have a couple of one question and one comment. The comment is related to what you and Alvin had mentioned about the core data set. I think it's good to change.
And again, it relates to my question on if there is a minimum standard or a national standard for medical certificates. That's very helpful, because I know someone here in India is working on a disability project where the practitioners can actually use a mobile app to certify disability. So if there is a standard on that, and that can be shared by the countries in the region for reference, that will be good, because of course national standards are defined by the National Medical Council, but then if there is a repository at least to look up, that will be very helpful. My second question is related to because you're working, it's fantastic work done by you and your team in the Standards and Interoperability Lab, and congratulations for the journey so far and what you're planning to do next. My question is, like, is there a HL7 Thailand chapter and the national chapter, and do you have any collaborations, because it does require?
I think you have two questions about the standard of the minimal data set, or the data set for from each use case, and then it can be shared. The second one is that is Thailand have a HL7 chapter? Anyone from the panel, Dr. Papat, Dr. Rat, or anyone, what would you could you respond to these two comments and questions?
I can answer for the first question about the medication certificate, medical certificate one. Yeah, of course we can share with the community. The slight problem is that even in Thailand, we still haven't officially published this yet. That is still process of back and forth and collecting the feedback from many parties. I can share it with you, the current version one, but it might be changed in the future. Yeah, and not just in Thailand. Actually, during the process of creating them, me and Dr. Thanapov, we also review the medical certificate from an implementation guide from Germany. I'm not sure who created that, but we found it on the simplifier. So I can send it to you too.
I can add a little bit, Jai and the audience. You can see that the issue is not much technical. Once the people can operate and agree on something, it can be created. But right now in Thailand and in many countries, to me, like in Thailand, we still have many stakeholders, and there is no consensus on that. People would like to more prominent than the other. That's why the governance and convergence is the essential need in Thailand. And we hope that we can push this and then reveal to the stakeholder in the country that this is the time that we should come and work together. So it is people interoperability is the main challenge. And we produce the technical, the information model, but it seems like people are not using it or adopting it because of they maybe have some issue on that. For the second part, Dr. Papat or Dr. Kawin, could you answer about the HL7 chapter? What should we do and what should we proceed on that? Over.
Maybe Dr. Kawin can add later, or our member can add later. But I think similar to what Dr. Bunchai and Dr. Rat said, we still not kind of finalize or settle in-house. So I'm not so sure. I mean, thanks for Jai for suggesting. I'm not so sure whether it is the right time for us to have that chapter. I mean, we would like to have something a little bit. I mean, it doesn't have to be kind of final, but stabilize a little bit. So it is in the plan actually.
Thank you, Dr. Papat. Dr. Bunchai, if I may just add to what you said, I think people interoperability and having the national consensus, it's a tough part. It's the tough part. Technically, it's probably relatively easy to solve. You have the team in place. This is where, like, I also posted about the unified health interface. the synopsis. What is happening here in India is like the same thing. Like, India is also very huge, very diverse, and so many companies, so many hospitals, both public, private, and trust. But then what has happened in the last one and a half years is the National Digital Health Mission and the National Health Authority, who is the lead agency for implementation of National Digital Health Mission, has actually started this public consultation process, where they actually, it's sort of similar to our convergence workshop, but then they actually meet with these different partners, have a very frank discussion, and then after the inputs are taken, they actually publish publicly. It's available as a public consultation document. That document is available for anyone to look at it, comment, draft critically. You can actually respond to that. So they give a time of for about few months or a month after the consultation paper is available in the official website of the National Health Authority. And then once the comments are in, and they finalize it, and that becomes the consensus nationally. So this is something that probably you could do. I'm sure that you might have done something on that, but I just thought I will share in this point of time, since because this is an issue that is there in every country. Thank you.
So right now, actually, I saw two attendees raising their hands. You can ask us now.
Okay, so let me first congratulate everyone. Like this is really interesting, and this is exactly what I'm looking for. And from what I've heard and what I just learned from Facebook, from via Facebook for SIL Thailand page, the world-class 5G smart hospital system with smart health tech, blockchain based personal health. Those are the things that I'm exactly looking for. So I'm really interested in it, and I'm really like to collaborate in the future as well. But I also would like to share some of the challenges that we face related to the first session, the first question that I asked around the end of the first session. So in Myanmar, the thing is that we have our ID card, but that ID card is just a piece of paper right now. And the biggest problem is that where we normally work in ethnic area, eastern border of Myanmar, like only maybe I can say in my project area 40% of people have those ID cards. So we cannot create a unique identifier. So when we start a pilot with 10,000 population in 2018, it is not a big problem. We can still manage about the duplicate. We can manually clean the data. We still use low-tech resources to make sure that people have a unique ID and put it in a paper format so that we can record it. But right now, because of the success of the phase one, we call it strategic purchasing project, we are expanding to in phase one, we are only covering 4 clinics. We are expanding to 17 clinics right now. And we are facing a problem with those duplication of the unique ID number. That's why I was hoping to get a guidance on biometric, because we want to invest and we try a lot of different methods. But none of the methods that we try, like the fingerprint, the smart card that we try to give them, and even the retina scan, it is not possible. That's why biometric, I understand there is a kind of like a sometimes use those biometric data to actually make sure that people are not receiving care. But we are trying to implement an opposite system where we are reducing the burden on the health worker, but at the same time I'm to actually reduce the data duplication as well. Because when you go into the field, if you don't have a proper proper system to uniquely identify each patient, it is very hard to track their health records. It's very hard to actually give quality care. So that's where I'm coming from. As like in Myanmar, we have a kind of like a blank system. If we can prove some of a worthy or some of the low cost, some solution that can be useful throughout Myanmar, from my pilot project, we can expand to the whole of Myanmar. That's my long-term ambition as well. So in that case, one of the biggest problem we are facing right now is the data duplication, because people, the patients themselves don't remember the codes. No matter how much we try several methods to uniquely identify them, but it's still a problem. So it would be a great it would be great if some of you can give us guidance on that. Thank you.
So, Mr. Zai, I saw you raise your hand, so you want to answer?
Yeah, thanks,
Mr.
Priya.
Zani?
Yes, Dr. Zani, like in India, like for example, the unique identifier, like probably you would have heard about Aadhaar, the unique identifier, the world's probably largest ID scheme, not health ID, it's a ID scheme. So it's like close to, I think, 1.2 billion people have been issued. And it's based on, but the biometrics is based on both fingerprints, all the 10 fingers, as well as of course, the thumbprint as well as the retinal scan. So it's a combination of both. People do have a problem, because I myself have faced this problem, especially who is in healthcare, who keeps scrubbing, right? We keep actually washing our hands very often, and then also the laborers, like who do a bit of hard work. Fingerprint recognition is a problem. And then of course, like in those cases, retinal scans are used. Yes, I understand from your previous comment that this scans or iris scan, for example, it's expensive, but then like that's what is followed here in India. But relating to maybe cost effective scheme, if there are multiple IDs in the country, for example, India does have, like people have driver's license, people have the tax ID, people have voter ID card for election issued by the election commission. Then we have a public distribution system which gives you the ration card. So there are multiple IDs. So one of the ways, like for example, of uniquely identifying is if there are secondary identifiers linked to the particular patient, then yes. Like my suggestion is, like if you do not have a national ID or an ID which is not accepted all over the country, particularly, then you can take which is the most widely accepted one and try to link yet another ID as a secondary identifier. With this, like it's sort of a triangulation. I won't say triangulation, but something sort of as much as possible trying to uniquely identify a patient. That's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thanks for your answer. Can I just add in a little bit more? A little bit more is that, like, in the eastern border of rural area, in Myanmar, a rural area, they don't have the cars. They don't have workers ID. Most of them are farmers, agriculture workers. So in that case, they also don't pay taxes. So it is really hard for us to, and plus, as I said before, no national ID. It is really hard for us to actually rely on the previous system from previous sector to make sure the triangulation exists as well. So in that case, what we are hoping is that we could, since this is kind of like a blank state, a blank piece of paper, we could start a new system. And if it is successful and if it is easy, it could be transferred to other part of the country as well.
I can respond to this a little bit, that the lesson that Myanmar are facing has been facing in Africa, both West and East Africa, for many years, and we can learn from that. So that's what I heard. And the ATRA from India, a project from India. This is people say that it is the most successful project for the identification, and I think Jai can respond to that too.
So are there any more questions, or any panelists want to add more details here?
Freya?
Yes.
Maybe just very quickly, we haven't pegged the dates yet, but before we end the conference and the side meeting, just to announce that this year we will have our 8th general meeting sometime in the end of Q3, and then we will be opening up a call for participants to interoperability training on FHIR. And then we will also be conducting some follow-up research on our GAPS framework. Did I forget anything, Jai, Dr. Bunchai, for this year?
I think one question that posed in the Q&A is very interesting, and I would like Dr. Papat to respond to the wider audience. There is an anonymous attendee asked the question that for a doctor who has no background in health information exchange and standard and interoperability lab, what would I start to learn to understand more about them? Do you have any recommended course or resources for the beginner? Over to you.
I think we can post the resources, the real resources online, free and paid resources on the website later. But to work on HIE, I think there are many aspects or many sides. You don't have to be really technical. As a doctor, I think the person who asked this question, actually he is a medical doctor, so he can really help in just give the real requirement, the real scenario, and work on that side and test the scenario, make sure that it's really workable. So you doesn't have to be really technical part of IT people to work on HIE. I think it's a real community. We need from all sides. I mean, any way you can really contribute to the community. You can really, or you can just get in and test it, whether it works for you, and you can give feedback. That really help.
I think for the HIE, Health Information Exchange, as Paul beyond this said that there is the Open HIE Academy. I think that is maybe the good resources to start to understand the HIE, both the business part and the technical part. And also, I think there is several courses. Even in AeHIN, we provide several webinar on the
YouTube
on this topic. Both YouTube, something like that. So, Dr. Alvin, I saw Dr. Julius. Any comments and suggestions from Dr. Julius on about your projects? Over.
So Julius, any suggestions on open emails? I don't know if you have the microphone on right now.
So thank you for inviting me to this conference. I really learned a lot, and I'm actually very excited, especially in the local context here in the Philippines. So coming from an academic institution, I'm really looking forward to collaborating with actually non-medical practitioners, which I already told the I guess the newer members of AeHIN Open AIMS last time we met. And I'm very excited to meet them. Looking at the interoperability and the enterprise architecture, these are terms that as medical doctors, we're not really trained for. But looking at what the other countries are doing, we're really looking forward to implementing something like this also, at least as far as what we can do in the academic sector first, but hopefully it can translate into the general health system of the Philippines.
Thank you very much, Dr. Julius. Thank you. And I was announcing some of the activities for 2022, maybe as last minute fire training, and then the ANGM and the update on our GAPS research. And with that, I think I'll pass to Dr. Bunchai for the final words.
Another resource that we are developing with the Open IMIS is that we are going to doing the training, e-training course about the diagnostic related group. Diagnostic related group is the financing tools that you can see the link between the financing information system and the healthcare information system in the real world, because of these tools have been used for reimbursement in many countries, including Thailand. So AeHIN are working with the Open EMIS community to create this course. So we hope that in the next 6 months, we can have this course online. But during these 6 months, we will conduct a webinar on this topic. I would like to thank all the panel on providing your effort and your time to come with as a community to exchange knowledge and learning. And also thanks all the audience. And we are on the same challenge, and we will work together to overcome this challenge, and we are here to support each other. So don't be shy and don't be hesitate to working with your friends and our communities. And the last thank you is to the Pin Mahidol Award conference organizer that provide the opportunity for us to kind of come up and sharing our knowledge on this. Now over to you, Lukwa, to close this session. Over.
So again, to all the attendants, so you can join us to be a member of AeHIN. So we have many useful webinars and training that can be good for you. And I just want to say that if you want to, we will just record again. So the PMAC organizer will post it on the PMAC website, so you can look at it again if you want. And at last, I need to thank you to all our speakers. So right now is the end of this side meeting. It's 12 o'clock now. And thank you all the participants here. So maybe we may have a chance to meet again in other meetings. So everyone, so have a good day, a good night. Goodbye, everyone.